What's up, YouTube? It's your boy John from Project Ellsworth. I'm with you a day early this week, but scheduling, things didn't work out the way they normally do this week. So I am back with you to go over another section of my collection. Let's get it. Firstly, I hope everybody out there is doing well and staying safe. Alright, let's hop into this. First up is Cannibal Holocaust. Recently did a review of this movie. There's not a whole lot to say about this movie that I didn't say in that review. I'll put a link to that review in the description. This is a brutal film. Definitely not for the faint of heart. If you don't like animal cruelty, violence, cannibalism, and very realistic practical effects, stay away from that movie. If you do like all that stuff, watch Cannibal Holocaust. Alright, next up is Cape Fear. Robert De Niro, Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange. Academy Award-winning director Martin Scorsese brings heart-pounding suspense to one of the most acclaimed thrillers of all time, Cape Fear. Earning an Academy Award nomination for its brilliant performance, Robert De Niro stars as a vicious psychopath, Max Cady, who emerges after being imprisoned for 14 years with a single-minded mission to seek revenge on his attorney, Sam Bowden, portrayed by Nick Nolte. Realizing he is legally powerless to protect his beautiful wife Leigh, which is Jessica Lange's character, and his troubled teenage daughter Danielle, Juliette Lewis's character, against Max's relentless psychological torment. Sam resorts to unorthodox measures, leading to an unforgettable action-packed showdown on Cape Fear. Believe it or not, I have never seen Cape Fear. I bought this recently somewhere, pretty cheap. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about that movie and about Robert De Niro's performance in that movie. I haven't heard a whole lot about Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, or Juliette Lewis in that movie, but I heard Robert De Niro was absolutely fantastic in that. So yeah, that's one of those movies that somehow has slipped under my radar, but I'm trying to right the ship. I at least bought the thing. Now I just got to take the time to sit down and watch it. Alright, next up is Carnival of Souls. I recently discussed this on one of my Dollar Tree hauls. Picked it up for $1. What's it, 5 movies in here? Yeah, there's 5 movies for $1 in this package. So, let's see. Carrie. Absolutely love Carrie. This is right up towards the top, if not my favorite Stephen King adaptation to one of his works. I love Carrie. I love everything about Carrie. I thought Sissy Spacek was perfectly cast in this movie. Absolute classic. Check Carrie out. If you haven't seen it, I have to assume you've seen Carrie. But if you haven't, you are missing out. Watch Carrie. Alright, and here is, I believe this was a television. Was this it's the remake of Carrie. I think this was a made-for-TV thing. I never watched this. Let me see, 2 hours and 12 minutes. 2 hours and 12 minutes, I have to assume that this is not a made-for-TV miniseries. But I know I've never watched this movie. I only picked this thing up to add it to my collection. I really need to watch this, just to see how close it is, to see if it pays homage well to the original film. But I don't expect a whole lot out of it, to be perfectly honest. And when you have this, I don't see no reason to have this. So, Lord only knows. Alright, next up is The Rage, Carrie 2. I've seen parts of this movie. I've never seen this whole movie either. I've never heard anyone say anything good about Carrie 2. The only reason I bought this movie was to have it in my collection. And as I've stated in previous videos, if you're a horror movie collector, you're a horror movie collector. You'll buy stuff that you know is no good. You'll buy it anyway, just because, hey, there's a horror movie. It doesn't cost a lot of money. I have to have that in my collection. That's a perfect example of that. Alright, so I just got done saying that if you have this, you don't need this. So I'm really not sure why we have this. Carrie, remade a couple years ago. Chloe Grace Moretz I thought she did a pretty good job as Carrie in this movie. Julianne Moore played Carrie's mother in this movie. I enjoyed this movie, but again, this is not even remotely close to as good as the original Carrie movie was. So, great movie made in '76, if I remember correctly. And then 2 remakes of the movies that never came close. So I just think it's weird. I get them making Carrie too. It's a grab at some cash. The Carrie was a successful film that everybody loves. So I get why you would try and make a sequel. I think it's silly too, to be perfectly honest with you, but I understand. But the 2 remakes to me is that's just a bad idea in my opinion. All right, next up I have something called Carriers. What's this one say? Chris Pine stars in this intense, gripping thriller about a deadly threat beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Determined to escape the lethal virus, 4 teens set out in search of an uncontaminated refuge, only to discover that they are far more dangerous to each other than the virus that they are trying to survive. Carriers is a pulse-pounding journey into a world where laws and rules no longer apply and no one can be trusted, not even your friends. I've never seen this one either. There's a whole lot of movies in this stack this week that I have not seen. I have not seen Carriers, but I believe that I've seen a couple people talk about this movie, and it sounds like it's pretty good. So, eventually I'll get to it. Alright, next up is Carved. I picked this up recently. I don't remember where I picked this up, but I was actually surprised that I found it when I found it. I want to say it was Walmart a few months back. Why it was still out, I don't know. It's one of the Asia Extreme movies, which these are old, so I don't know. You know what? I think my wife bought me this for Christmas. I think that's where this came from. Alright, now I get it. That's why I can't remember picking it up, because I didn't pick it up. I'm pretty sure she bought me this. Alright, an instant horror classic. Legend holds that 30 years ago, a suburban town was terrorized by the spirit of a woman whose beautiful face had been grotesquely disfigured by a jealous husband. Roaming the streets wearing a long coat and a surgical mask, the spirit would... Surgical mask. That's not a familiar sight in these days. Roaming the streets of wearing a long coat and a surgical mask, the spirit would approach young victims and, while removing her mask, ask, "Am I pretty?" The victim's response would almost always lead to their violent death. I need to check that out. That is an Asian horror movie. She bought me this because it was on my Christmas list. Now I remember actually asking for this thing too. Goofball sometimes. I guess I have so many movies I can't remember where they came from. Thank you for the Christmas present, honey. Alright, Stephen King's Cat's Eye. I have seen Cat's Eye. It's been many, many years since I've watched Cat's Eye. I believe this is an anthology film, if I'm not mistaken. I actually read this book, too. So, I remember this being pretty decent. There was something in here about quitting smoking. I think it was called Quitters Inc. or Quitting Inc., something like that. Cat's Eye was pretty cool. I gotta go back and watch that again, too. Look at very young Drew Barrymore. Pretty cool. That's Drew Barrymore pre-drugs and pre-lifting her shirt up on David Letterman. Yeah, I remember Cat's Eye being pretty cool. Here's another one of those video store going out of business movies, The Cave. I have not watched The Cave. Taking terror to a whole new depth. Deep in the Romanian forest, a team of scientists stumble upon the ruins of a 13th century abbey. Upon further inspection, they make a startling discovery. The abbey is built over the entrance to a giant underground cave system. Local biologists believe that the cave could be home to an undiscovered ecosystem, so they hire a group of American cave explorers to help them investigate its depths. I hate that word, depths. Yeah. Horror movie on sale for it was either $1.99 or 50% off of that, so I bought it for either $2 or $1. Never watched it, really don't know a lot about it. Alright, next up is The Cell. Believe it or not, the very first day that I bought a DVD player, I bought The Cell. I thought that it looked amazing visually. It looked like it was a visually stunning movie. And then I watched it. I wasn't crazy about it, but over time, this movie kind of grew on me. It's pretty cool. She's basically going inside of someone's mind, and the visual, like I said, visually, this movie is absolutely gorgeous. The day I bought my DVD player, I bought this, and I think the other movie I bought was Pitch Black, just because I wasn't going so much for content at that time, as much as I was going for what's going to look really cool on this new device I'm buying. And then it turns out that Pitch Black is a dark movie that's all basically black and white. Or black and gray, or black and gray and white. Goofball. If I knew then what I know now. Alright, next up is another one of those going out of business dollar video rental stores. The Cellar Door. Never saw this one either, don't know a darn thing about it. The girl next door having coffee, lunch with coffee lunch. Yeah, I don't even like the way that's worded. The girl next door having coffee, lunch with a friend, shopping, unaware is... I'm not reading that. It just sounds terrible. The movie, I don't know if it sounds good or not, but the way that that's written is driving me crazy. A young woman awakens to find herself imprisoned in the basement of a serial killer. Alright, that's about all you need to know. Looks decent, but I have never heard anyone ever discuss this movie, so my assumption is that it probably is not decent, but this is actually something that would interest me. Belongs on the shelf next to all other good new horror movies like Saw, Slither, and Open Water. It's way above Hostel. Alright. A riveting and intense horror thriller, fantastic, impressive, intelligent, and gripping. Tense, terrifying, and thriller. Weird. Tense, terrifying, thriller. Whatever. That actually does sound good though, so I might give that a watch. Alright, next up is Chained. This is a really cool movie. This is one of those that I kept seeing on the shelves at Best Buy. I would see it over and over and over. And eventually I just bought the thing. Vincent D'Onofrio is in this. And his character kidnaps this younger dude. And chains him up inside of the house. Basically just, keeping him hostage. Making him his slave. It's pretty cool. I remember watching this. It took me forever to buy the thing, and then after I bought it, I watched it pretty quick. Just was curious. That was a pretty cool movie. I think you should check out Chained if you come across it. Next up is The Changeling. I have seen this, but I was pretty young when I watched this. It's a haunted house movie. I gotta check this one out again. It's been forever since I watched this. Here's in a warm will. That's just telling you what the movie did. Let me see. George C. Scott and Trish Van Devere star in a thriller that challenges the viewer to solve a mystery. In a haunted house adventure complete with seances, nocturnal grave diggings, ghostly spirits, and ancient puzzle jealousy, guarded by a devious man. Scott is splendid as the man who becomes the unwilling instrument of the ghost's revenge, learns to trust no one. Eerily entwining. I hate the way this is written. Eerily entwining a detective story with a mystery of the supernatural. The Changing delivers solid entertainment and a frightening good time. I gotta go watch that again. I saw that movie about 1,000 years ago, so I gotta check it out again. Alright, here's another cheesy movie that I bought at a horror con for $5 in Cherry Hill, New Jersey many years ago, and I have never watched it because it is from Sub Rosa Studios, and everything that I've watched from them has been absolutely terrible. I bought a handful of movies from them at that con, and this is another example. If I knew then what I know now, I would have never bought this. Cheerleader Autopsy. You've never heard of this movie either because it's terrible. I don't know that I'm ever even going to watch this thing. I've watched a few Sub Rosa Studio films. Like I said, they had a table at a con and they were selling their movies for $5. And I think I picked like 4 of them up. And I watched 2 of them, I think, and they were both just god-awful. I think I barely made it through one, and I don't think I made it through the other, and I don't remember what they're called. But if you see that, don't buy it. Save your money. Go buy a soda. Alright, up next is the Chernobyl Diaries. This was really cool, too. I enjoyed this movie. Takes place where Chernobyl took place, at Chernobyl. Harrowing and unpredictable, nail-biting. Chernobyl, 1986. As the worst nuclear disaster in history unfolds, residents are driven from their homes in a nearby city of Pripyat. Pronunciation is a mystery. Without enough time to grab even their most precious personal belongings. Over 25 years later, 6 young vacationers and their extreme tourism guide visit that city to explore the ruins of a city now desolate and seemingly abandoned. But when they are forced to stay the night, they soon discover that they may not be alone in this eerie shocker by co-producer, co-writer Oren Paley, the creator of Paranormal Activity. This is a cool movie. I watched this definitely inside of the last year. I watched that again with my son. He was curious about that, and I think he saw the picture pop up on my computer, and he enjoyed it too. He was kind of creeped out by that movie, but I enjoyed Chernobyl Diaries. I thought it was great. Next up is Children of the Corn. Who don't know Children of the Corn? Everybody knows Children of the Corn. Based on a short story by Stephen King. Really good. Linda Hamlin from The Terminator is in it. Children of the Corn. Good stuff. Children taking over a town. Killing folks. Next is a whole bunch of what I have yet to watch. Children of the Corn. I think this is a remake. As well as Children of the Corn Revelations, which I bought. Same DVD place going out of business. I've never watched either one of these movies. I've actually never watched the Children of the Corn sequel. Never really saw any need to, because I never heard anything good about any of them. Alright. Next up is Children of the Living Dead. I do think I watched this movie a while ago. The plague continues. When Matthew Michaels arrives in a rural town in Pennsylvania to fulfill his father's wishes of developing a small, seemingly innocent piece of land, it marks the beginning of a horrifying phenomenon. The land is an old cemetery, and those buried there are awakened and begin to walk the earth once again. Now the haunt is on, as the living dead stalk their prey, arising from the shadows and terrorizing and killing the townspeople. Pardon me. And with the taste of human flesh in their mouths, the hunger of the deadly zombies intensifies. Your worst fears have just become reality. Pray for the quick death. Pray for a quick death. So yeah, I think I saw this movie quite a while ago. That's how good it must have been, because quite frankly, I don't remember it, but I'm pretty sure I watched it. It's a zombie movie. I'll watch it again. I'll do it on my Monday Morning Zombies, which I didn't get to this week. Terrible. I had a really good idea about Monday Morning Zombie. I made it 1 week, and the second week I screwed it up. This new work schedule's got my mind a mess. So I'm still trying to feel this through, and I'm going to get back on Monday Morning Zombies next week. Anyway, back to the video. Alright, lastly is the remake of Child's Play. I have not watched this yet. I only saw the first and I believe the second Child's Play movies. I had no interest in that Bride of Chucky stuff and that Seed of Chucky. That, to me, the series jumped the shark with those, for me. I had no desire to see any of that after that. I have seen Curse of Chucky, and I thought that was pretty decent. But I was doing a live stream with Cody and Andrew and Mark and Ben. Live stream we do, Coast to Coast horror stream on Saturday nights at 9 o'clock on H&S Collectibles site. They all talked me into watching Child's Play. They were telling me that all of the movies other than Bride and Seed are pretty decent. So under their suggestion, I bought that remake of Child's Play. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So that's it. That's it for this week's video. If you want to see me do a review of any of those movies in particular, let me know, and I will fit them into the schedule. I'm like 2 weeks out now on movies that people have asked me to watch, as well as things that are fitting into my schedule. So the sooner you ask, the sooner I can get it scheduled. I'm going to get out of here. I got to go get ready for work. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you have enjoyed my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later.